Hey friends, David Miller here at my studio Primordial Creative. Got my big white seamless up for doing a few YouTubing tutorial shoots at home. I hope you're doing well. Right now in Arizona, the virus is escalating, so it's a little more difficult to get out and do shoots. And it's also hot outside. But whenever there's an obstacle, there's an opportunity. So I have avoided for a few months a thing that's been real popular, which is the FaceTime shoot. This is where you open FaceTime on your phone and you're just talking to somebody somewhere else, and there's a little button on there that allows for live photos to be taken. The quality of a live photo on an iPhone is really awful, and there's no way around it. A screen cap normally is good quality, but when you're on FaceTime, there's so much pixelation, there's so much distortion that your options are to screen cap something that looks really bad or to use a live photo that is of a very small pixel dimension. Now, that said, I've been exploring ways to work around this handicap. And of course, one of the ways is to just simply accept that this is going to be low quality and go ahead and do it. And I've seen plenty of photographers post work that is, to my mind, really substandard, but was an opportunity for them to work with somebody who's far away, you know, and they traded off that and accepted it for what it was. At this point, I've done 3 FaceTime shoots, and I'm gonna throw up some work that I've done with those particular models. My first strategy is to do a lot of Photoshop and copy machine printing for a series that I've been working on for a few months. And these are the pop art prints that involve the single color choices on the copy machine. Part of my process is to cut apart layers in Photoshop and then apply halftone bitmap filtration to each layer. So when you break things down into a halftone, this is a printing technology from the 20th century, and it's just simple dots. So even if something isn't really sharp, doesn't have like a lot of pixels to contribute to the quality, the halftone process is gonna kind of mask a lot of that. The results of these have kind of varied. I think it worked better when the models had better lighting. One of the models actually shot with a ring light and had her phone within the ring light, and I think quality-wise, that worked the best. The people who worked in total darkness, or the people who worked with no artificial light, like right on them, I just had to live with the low quality that I was getting. So my second strategy was to create something that felt like a vintage advertisement. I've been a big fan of advertising that you would find in like National Geographic, Sports Illustrated, so on and so forth, from the 60s and 70s. And of course, those advertisements were crisp and colorful when they came out, but as time has gone on, the ink has rotted at different rates. So you're left with something that is faded, muted, looks super grainy by our standards. Maybe the paper pulp is starting to show. So in this particular case, I intended on making a pop art print, and I did make a pop art print, but to make my pop art print, I had to create the fake advertisement. The model had a swimsuit that advertised vintage Mustang, and then I went ahead and searched through archival photographs and advertisements and built my own advertisement around this. Had her pose with her hand like so I could get a trophy in there. This was a vision that I had during the shoot, and I feel like the advertisement element came out better than the final pop art print because it felt more authentic to the idea. But you know, did them both, look at them side by side, make the choice, what's the better final product, and I'm really proud of this particular one. The other strategy is to utilize the fact that I have 2 kinds of instant film printers. I have a Polaroid Lab, which allows me to print Polaroids based off of images that are on my smartphone screen. And then I have the Instax mini printer, which instead of placing the screen on a surface and printing from that, you just Wi-Fi those photos over to that printer and they pop right out. So I'm able to create the collages out of those, get a gestalt image that looks really cool in the end. It also helps cover up that pixelation by printing on instant film. I feel like the Polaroid Lab has lower resolution for its larger image size than the Instax mini printer. But I have both of those. I have access to whatever I want to do with those. And that's a strategy on making something unique out of an image shot across a smartphone. Then this strategy involves Procreate, one of my favorite apps on the iPad Pro. I've seen people do similar things with Adobe Fresco. I feel like this kind of mixed digital drawing and photograph is only becoming more and more popular, and I've been doing it on a lot of my recent shoots. I've been really influenced by what we might consider bad design or silly design, deliberately bad design, I should say. Rap album covers that I've seen growing up, sort of a chill wave aesthetic. And Procreate in particular has a lot of tools that feel incredibly natural, and then they have a lot of tools that feel incredibly beautiful in a way that I haven't seen in a lot of digital art, and certainly not in things that people would do like in Adobe Photoshop. So I'll open my photo in Procreate, have that be my bottom layer, start wiping out the elements in the background that are kind of like annoying or boring. A lot of the models are shooting in their bedrooms, so I'm getting like their closets and the things on their walls as background elements. And I just desaturate those parts. I cover them up with one of the paint tools, really try and get the photo down to what it would be if I had them in a studio and what I would be shooting with them. And then in the case of this shoot with Annika White, a model in New York, I have her showcasing just objects that are lying around. You know, she has an interesting shoe collection. So one of my favorite kinds of shoots is where somebody just holds an object and displays it. This is based off of work that I've seen from archival photos in the 1950s where people hold up like a tool or some kind of weird invention, you know, and here it is. I really enjoy those kinds of images. I know it's somewhat meaningless, especially living in the age where there's a lot of interesting political and society changes going on, but this is something that I as an artist feel like expressing, so that's what's come out of it. There you have it, 4 strategies on making the most out of your FaceTime shoots. We got Procreate, we got Instax and Polaroid printing, we got pop art prints, and we got graphic design that makes heavy use of the fact that these are low quality images, similar to what you would get in a vintage advertisement. Hope that was helpful to you. If you are out there doing sort of FaceTime shoots and made something really interesting, especially if it's a strategy that I didn't mention, I would love to see your work. You can post a link to it below. And other than that, I hope you're doing well. Talk to you next time.